Today, the global population stands at approximately 8.3 billion people. That is a staggering mass of humanity navigating the planet all at once. But to understand the sheer scale of that number, we have to look back. For millennia, human population growth barely registered. It was a stagnant, horizontal line across history. That flat line finally broke in the early 1800s. Driven by industrialization, early sanitation efforts, and medical breakthroughs, the human population suddenly tipped upward. It took human history until 1803 to reach 1 billion people, but only 123 years to reach 2 billion. The timeline kept compressing, leaping from 7 to 8 billion in a mere 12 years, a milestone crossed in late 2022. The sheer momentum of these absolute numbers suggests a world heading toward an endless exponential surge. Yet, that massive top-line number masks a hidden reality. The engine driving global population growth is rapidly running out of steam. This compares absolute population against the actual growth rate. While the absolute number kept climbing, the growth rate peaked decades ago, hitting over 2% in the late 1960s. Since then, it has plummeted by more than half, falling below 1% today. This persistent drop in the growth rate signals an eventual demographic halt, challenging the core assumptions of modern civilization. This deceleration is driven entirely by one metric: falling fertility rates. For a population to remain stable, a replacement rate of 2.1 births per woman is needed. 2 children replace the parents, and the 0.1 accounts for infant mortality. Today, over half the globe lives in countries falling below this threshold. That global average is masking a deeply fractured world. It splits the modern economy into 2 drastically different structural realities. The first of these is the contraction zone. Across regions like East Asia and Europe, populations are experiencing a structural decline. In countries like South Korea, Japan, and Italy, fertility rates have dropped well below 1.5. This chart shows the result: an inverted pyramid. These societies are shrinking and rapidly aging at the same time. This creates massive economic strain. A tiny, shrinking workforce is left to support a massive, long-lived retired population. For these industrialized nations, the primary economic threats of the near future are labor shortages and systemic stagnation. The expansion zone operates on a different logic. Today, global population growth concentrates within a specific cluster of regions. Over the next few decades, more than half of the projected increase in the global population will come from just 8 countries. This growth is driven predominantly by sub-Saharan African nations like Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Ethiopia, alongside India and Pakistan. These developing economies face an entirely different set of challenges. They must manage massive youth bulges and the logistical strain of rapid urbanization. The economic survival of these countries depends on building infrastructure fast enough to harness a population explosion before it turns into a crisis. So, what happens when the shrinking forces of the contraction zone inevitably overtake the youth forces of the expansion zone? We can see the end of the curve on this projection chart. Demographers project that the global human population will finally peak later this century, likely around 2080, at approximately 10.3 billion people. After 2080, humanity will cross the threshold into a permanent, gradual decline. Humanity is moving past the era of raw exponential growth and into a phase of structural divergence. We are facing a geopolitical balancing act. The world must figure out how to manage the labor strains of graying nations while integrating the booming youth of developing economies. The way civilization manages this shifting balance will shape the economic and environmental conditions of the coming centuries.